Okay. Nice. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy, the Middle-Aged Gamer, and this is the brand new 2023 APFG MCX Rattler GBBR. Now, I've kitted this out exactly to me, but OMG, is this an absolute beautiful piece of kit. I'm really impressed. Now, with that being said, let's bring the camera up closer and let's dive in. Okay, so starting off at the rear, you have your milled aluminum short stock, which is quite nice. It features, how to say, a rubberized hardened butt plate, which is nice. And you get your very chunky mounting bracket. Now, the QD sling points, as you can see, are steel. The mounting bracket, steel, including the bracket that mounts the actual, or connects to the actual CNC aluminum there. So yeah, that is awesome. The steel bracket means it's not going to break on you at all, any time soon anyway. I've used it on my MPX now for a few months, and it's been through over 10,000 rounds. It hasn't fallen apart or anything. It's just been absolutely gorgeous, and I would expect so for 70 quid. They're not cheap. They're very high quality. Now, moving on, we can move up here. You have your rear QD sling points for the gun. Let's check what they are. They are aluminum, which are fine. They match in because they are molded into the body itself. You have your fire control here, which is quite nice. You have the elongated on this side. It is ambidextrous. There is a shorter version on the side, on the right side. So it is mainly designed for the right hand. But you can reverse them and have it for left-hand friendly as well if you wish. But it is ambidextrous in that respect. Now, moving down, we do have this lovely grip, which is designed off of the new Sig Spear line, or the Gen 3, let's call it, MCXs, which are nice. It's perfectly good. It fits nicely on your hand. And like I say, it's very comfortable to use. It's not as fat as the 416 or as full in the hand, but that's fine because it gives you that more agility, let's say. Now, moving on from there, we get to our trigger. Now, your trigger is absolutely phenomenal. The trigger on this guy is beautiful. If I take the charging handle and we'll catch it up, drop the bolt, and you can find the trigger itself is hair trigger, very light, very nice. It takes very little to overcome. It's about 4 pounds now, and you get a nice audible reset. It's tactile, you feel it. It's a lovely piece of kit. Now, we'll remove the mag because we'll go over that in a second. That's on the agenda. Now, you do get all the rare, how to say, the other mods for this gun, all the nice, how to say, pros and cons for it. You do have your ambidextrous mag release. You do have your ambidextrous bolt release, like I say, and you have your new SIG design magwell. Now, this is not compatible with the 416 magazines from VFC. It uses its Stanag style, just the standard. They're slightly shorter on the actual stem part here at the top. They're slightly shorter, which allow it to fit a little bit more rounder as well, not so squared or bigger. Now, these are the brand new V3s. Okay, now V3, the main difference between these two are the follower here at the rear, which lifts up on your actual bolt stop. With this, you can pull that down and lock it to the rear like that, and that allows you to dry fire the gun without damaging followers or seers. And you can unlock it by just sliding that bolt across. These are replaceable. VFC already sell multiple parts for this. It's quite nice. Now, I'll get onto the other compatibility with those mags later as we disassemble this in the second half of the video after the chronograph. But as is, that's awesome. Now, another thing you can see here on this gun is you do get the Rattler logo on here. I've scratched mine up trying to take this handguard off. Again, I'll get into that, but it's battle damage. That's the best way of looking at it now after quite a few rounds. I've put already around about 2,000, 3,000 rounds through this. That plate there is removable. It's to simulate the mock ejector, if I'm right, on the real steel. It's quite nice. It's removable just like the real steel. So that's awesome. You do get your ambidextrous sling mounts at the front. There's an equal one mirrored on the other side we'll get to, and you do get 2 M-LOK slots on the handguard. Now the handguard for this is not like the traditional Virtus, which is all skeletonized and goes on forever. This is only a 5.5 inch, I would say, barrel in there, so it's a 5.5 inch handguard. That means you get 2 M-LOK slots on the 3, 6 and 9 o'clock positions, and you get a monolithic picatinny rail right the way across the top. You don't get any iron sights with it. That kind of helps reduce on the costs. I fitted mine with a compact foregrip, a remote switch, which is nice, a little button there, allowing you to grab it and tap it with your thumb. It's a lot better. Now, moving forward, let's bring this up a little bit further forward to the gas block. Now, on this gas block, it's nicely marked either way, so you don't have to read your instruction manual. Turn it clockwise and it'll automatically decrease the hop. If you turn it actual counterclockwise, it will increase the hop, which is kind of cool. It's toolless, or you can use an Allen key at the front. There's a little hex slot there. Now this gun comes with its official SIG, suppressor. Now as you can see, the suppressor is full aluminum. It's not steel there, but it does have a steel latch for locking on. It's really good. It does have, if I flip it around now, let's get to the front. If we get here, you do get the official SIG markings here on the front, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, what I am going to do is take this thing off because it's massive. We don't need it on, not really. So, to do that, push that button, unscrew, and let's put the gun aside for a second and we can go over the suppressor. The suppressor itself is, like I say, awesome. It does feature a inner barrel. Now this basically mates with the inner barrel of your rifle, extending the 138mm inner barrel that's with the gun, and basically, I would say, add another 180 to 200mm of length. That basically brings it up in length and also increases your FPS. It's really good. I've got my thoughts on this and we'll get to that after we've done the chronograph. But you can disassemble this. The top is just undoable here and you can take everything out from the insides. So that's kind of cool. Now, let's get back to the gun. Now, at the end, underneath, because you have the SIG suppressor, you also get SIG's special quick mount system here and flash hider, which is awesome. This is solid steel, which is absolutely awesome. Yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful. In that respect, it does look good. It gets the look of the gun as is. Now, moving back, as you can see, there's your mirrored QD slot. As you can see on the bolt, next marking, it says there is multi-cal. And as you can see, you get the got the plus marking there and the minus marking on that side with the little arrows either side, although, there you go. That's fine. Now, as you can see, there's your standard mag release, your ambi on the other side, the shortened throw lever there, as you say, a little stem, should I say. And that is awesome. And as you can see, yeah, a nice click of the hammer. So, with that being done, let's take this outside and then we can get into the nitty-gritty, as they say, on the disassembly. Okay, with the suppressor on, I'm using 0.25 gram BBs and green gas. That's nice and hot. Good thing this has an impasse. Okay, without a suppressor on, 0.25 BBs and green gas. Ooh, that was a bit of a low one, but I count that as a fly. Let's give it one more. There you go. Okay, let's push the Rattler back to 10 meters. I'll leave the suppressor off I will get into that in the takedown. But yeah, for that distance, suppressor off should be about right, give you an accurate representation. So let's do this. Yeah, definite better grouping than with the suppressor on. But nevertheless, that is awesome. Okay, let's test the Rattler. I'm going to use the non-suppressed version of it now, so let's see what she's like. As you can see, last shot bolt all open. That was awesome. Okay. Okay guys, so now that we've done the chronograph test, and before we take it apart, I had a question on the unboxing video when they asked me about the V3 mags, saying are they compatible with the 416? So, I've got an idea. Let's take that mag out, put that back down, and I'll just grab my 416 here. So, V3 mag meets 416. Click that in, lock it back, and I want to keep my finger on that bit. And just for locks, it's locked. Just to show you to the rip. And yes, the answer is yes. The V3 mags work in any gun. It's just that the HK mags don't work on the Rattler. That's the only downside I can tell you straight off the bat, is they don't work on the Rattler. Now, with that mag aside, let's take a look at this awesome gun. Now, like I say, before we jump in, this being the new Gen 3 internals, you can tell that straight away, the trigger is now steel. The bolt stop release lever, the magazine is aluminum. Yeah, basically all that is steel there, which is important for where it needs to be. Now, the flash hider, steel, and the adapter bit for the QD, steel. I'm going to take this off because I really want to show you that it is a 14mm counterclockwise thread underneath. Will also let us get a good look at how far, there you go. You can see where your inner barrel comes to. It's around about 6mm from the very, very tip, which is perfectly fine. Now, with that being said, let's put what I will put on there and I generally like to put on, and that is my tracer unit. This being a small tracer, it's a Spitfire one, so you get the fire effect. It really does work. This gun shooting a rifle gas out with rifle burst of gas coming down this shot in a barrel gives you more gas, so it lights up the light a lot more, and it's really good for the effect. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's take this thing apart. So to take it apart, we'll put in, squeeze the upper and lower together, and we'll push out that pin. Okay, oh, we better drop that first. So if I dunk, drop that. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at the inside. Now, one thing you'll notice on the inside is, like I say, steel hammer, steel sear, spring, pins, takedown pins are mil-spec steel, including the front one. But yeah, everything that should be steel is, including the hammer for striking, which is really good and strong magnetic for that. But yeah, basically everything in the fire control is steel. They do provide you with an accuracy wedge, which, to be honest, this gun doesn't use it as much. I've taken that out and it's still a positive lock. So that's great. I know that it will wear in, so leaving it in, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, as they say. This gun is well lubed up, as I put quite a fair few rounds. The lower itself is milled aluminum, but everything inside there is all steel, where it should be steel. And that counts. Now, let's move up to the bolt carrier and assembly and charging handle. You can drop that out the way. Okay, so as you can see, for markings wise, you get the 5.56 NATO, the 7.62 by 39, which is for your bullet. But yeah, this is a multi-cal, as it says on the side there, multi-cal, because basically they're a 5.56 or a 7.62 by 39 bullet and all that. It's designed, you just swap the barrel, but the bolt itself is multi-cal in the real steel. But in airsoft, it's all 6mm BB, so yeah. Now, this does come with a 600 gram bolt carrier, steel springs, which get spring up, and guide rods, they're all steel. The fastening screws are steel. Everything is steel where it needs to be. Again, really good build quality, and it's a nice strong spring. You do need that, especially if you're trying to get that booking broken in. Now, the nozzle itself does feature an impasse. It's just a 1.5mm Allen key down the nozzle and adjust counterclockwise to turn the hop down. Oh, should I turn the speed down, clockwise to turn it up. So yeah, you don't need to buy yourself a very long barrel. You can just mess with that. It's really good for, especially if you're using it in the summer and dual creep, you can just tune it. The charging handle itself is the MCX style, so it is slightly different. Okay, you do have a different pin here, slightly further back, and that's what grabs onto the back of the of here like this, and will reciprocate that carrier group, which is really good. It is, like I say, ambidextrous. It doesn't matter which side you pull, it will work. And these are really good. I've been using this, like I say, it's on the MPX, and they've just worked. They've always been true and ready to go. So, yeah. With that being said, let's reassemble it, shall we? So, if we put your charging handle in, there's a little recess until it clicks. And then we have to just hold it there a second. I'm going to put my other hand here, stop it from sliding. This just goes into its own channel and rail system, and we can just put that down. And that should allow me to get past that, click that in, and we can put that back to fire, insert mag, do a check. That works. Full auto check. Oops, safety, that way. Awesome. But yeah, that's all kind of cool. I really like that. I like the internals. It's all steel where it needs to be, and that's important. You know, it's a really good build. And for 400 quid, what you're getting is basically a lot of money. If you put the stock, the suppressor as added value, which it can be, you know, that's really good. Now, what are the cons? We've gone over all the cool stuff for it. We've gone over how it fires and that stock out of the box without any upgrades. How does it fire? Okay. Well, here's where we start keeping it real, as they say with you guys. The gun itself is sound. The internals are perfectly fine. It's really good, well built in that respect. I think the choice of booking they use is the black booking. On the MPX, it was the blue booking. The blue one was 0.2s to 0.25s, 2.8s tops. The black is 2.5s minimum, 2.8s okay, and 2.3s and so on for outdoor. But this is a CQB gun. but I don't understand why they did that. They put that same booking in my 416, and that led to inconsistent FPS for the first 1,500 rounds. After then, it worked itself out, and that's basically your nozzle needs to go and insert or penetrate that booking deep enough to create a seal, and to do that, it just needs to wear in, which means you will have to put BBs down range, especially if you want to use burst or full auto. So yeah, the other thing, this whole split barrel thing that they did for the suppressor to extend it, no, you don't need it. You've got an impasse in there. I think they should have just left that alone. I know why they did it, to get that look with the suppressor on, but no one uses that. And in fact, many of the special forces today just use it with a muzzle brake. They don't actually use the suppressor on it. There's just no need. And when they do, they always have their own suppressors anyway. They'll either use an OSS or some other sort of like brand rather than SIG's own, because SIG really do overcharge, and it's big and bulky. They want a slightly smaller can, as they say, more compact, which other companies make. So yeah, you know, this is one of those things that I just don't like it. I've noticed as well, when I have the suppressor on, yes, I get a massive increase in FPS. It's 30 to 40 FPS. But because it doesn't join completely straight or flush, it keeps striking the BBs as they're going down. I mean, it's a 6.4 millimeter in a barrel. It's the VFC's, how to say, performance in a barrel's in there. But because it's hitting something, i.e. the joint there, you see wild variations with the suppressor on. That's my main issue. Other than the, like I say, the FPS itself having some drops where you'd be doing 290 without, should I say 300 or 400 FPS, and then you get 290, then maybe 90 FPS, and then it goes back to normal, and you're like, why? And that's just the nozzle trying to get a good seal, and because it's so tight and new, it really does need to be worn in. Some do, some don't. Like Marui, they don't, because they're designed with a softer booking, etc. And I think that's what this needs. If I have an issue, I'll probably put a TNT booking in there, but I don't think I will. I think the only thing I need to do is change the inner barrel that's in there from a VFC stock, I would say performance they call it, but it's just a stock 6.4 millimeter inner barrel in black, and swap that, which for a Crazy Jet, which I've actually ordered. You know, that should be here hopefully in a week or so, and I'll do an update video which I'll show you it being installed, and we'll take it out and see what performances it gets. Hopefully it'll get the grouping from being 6 inches at its widest point to more like 4 or 3 inches, which is what I know that this gun out the box is capable of doing without anything else being done to it. Like I say, I have no issues other than that. That's the main issue with this gun. It just seems to have that love affair with that. But yeah, that's the downside. It's the only one. So for a £400 gun and having that as your only downside, and you're getting so much for it, I can't really fault it. I love the new Gen 3. Here's the thing, right, guys? The Gen 2 uses, if I can get this in frame for you, this is what the Gen 2 uses. Try and put that spring up there for you so you can see the spring as well. Right, that is the firing pin of a Gen 2. It's a 5-part design. You have a pin, a small leaf spring holding that strike face there down, and you have that strike face in that little carrier. And this goes underneath it to there, and that all sits in to you can see where I'm going. It's really complicated. And that actually breaks every single time I put one in. Within 2,000 rounds, it snaps. I've had to change mine and put in a stronger spring and custom cut it to fit. And that took trial and error. I went through like 15 different springs just to get it so it works properly each time. And I found out recently that there's, I think it's called EDC in Taiwan. They've just done a new, how to say, drop-in unit that will go underneath your bolt stop with a brand new firing pin that doesn't have that spring. Because it was such an issue, and even VFC swapped it. It now has a leaf, like a V leaf spring, where the hammer is connected here and goes across, and you have the small spring here, and it just goes back. And at 3.5 millimeters at its smallest point to 4 millimeters at its thickest point, you know, it's a really strong steel spring. It's not going to go, and it's a whole unit that can drop in, and they retail for 12 quid. They're really, really cheap. So I don't see an issue with just staying with the, you know, with the new V3 or buying that. I don't like the Gen 2 for that reason. It just, you know, it was annoying. So kudos to them, putting all the latest internals to this, to really updating it, giving you all the steel, milled receivers. I battle damaged mine here, as you can see, like I say, getting that off, but nothing but a bit of Sig Grey spray paint. Won't fix that, you know, it'll be done and dusted. But yeah, it's just a case of, like I say, you know, the only issue in a barrel, that's it. I don't want to harp on about it. I think that's the only issue I have. So with that being said, you let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think to the Rattler? Are you kind of impressed? Because I'm really impressed with it. I love it. P.S. You can actually use this upper on my 416. I just have to buy the adapter plate for the buffer tube, take that off and put it in the rear. And I could run the same stock and everything and have all that controls in the low. It's kind of cool, that. But yeah, I do love that you can do that sort of stuff if you wish. There is so much you can do with this gun, and it's such a low introductory price. It's held its hop, it's held its stuff, it works. Yeah. If you can get one, go get one. Go and enjoy it. Are there problems? Not more than I've ever known with anything that's manufactured in mass. Again, there are lemons. There are always going to be lemons when you mass engineer something. It just happens. You get the odd little defect. As long as they acknowledge it and they replace it, it's not a headache. It's when you do get the bad companies out there that don't want to fix it for you, or the retailers that don't want to swap it for you and send it back. But it's not VFC's fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's just standard manufacturing of today. None of these parts are MIM, which are brilliant, and that is important. So yeah, I've been the Middle Aged Gamer. You guys have been awesome, and I hopefully will see you in the next one.